You have to forgive me. I got home very late last night from uh, some field work, uh, and I didn't even write up my notes. I just took a shower, went straight to bed, and at 11 o'clock in the night, I woke up and I said, I didn't do the video. So today is day 3 and day 4. Um, a very exciting day 3 yesterday. Um, so I went to the Ministry of Culture, and they were very happy to see me in Macedonia. It was difficult. I had to ask somebody and I had to wait. Greece, they just talked to me for 5 minutes and that was it. But in Turkey, they sat down, these two people, and they sat down with me and they spoke to me, and I didn't feel like I was being rushed. They really wanted to convey and answer the questions that I had prepared, and I was thinking, like, this whole thing I was gonna talk about sarma or dolmades or dolma, if you're Greek or Armenian. Sarma is the Turkish variety, but we didn't touch on that. I asked, the first question was, what is the most authentic food for Turkish people, for the Turkish nation? And it's a thing called manti. What is manti? It's a national dish. I didn't even consider looking into what the national dish is. So it's manti. And then there was the other things there's other things, of course, but manti is the one that came up. And what is manti? It is the dumpling. And it's a Turkic dumpling. It doesn't come from the Balkans or the Middle East. It comes from the Turkic, the areas that the today Turks, where they came from. They migrated. I don't want to say migrated, but they traveled, and the empire. So it's a dumpling, and it's like any other dumpling, really. I should have taken a picture of it, but I was with someone, the person I was asking questions, and the thing is, when you're so focused on your questions, you don't realize the very thing that you need to do, and that is to take pictures and to try to memorialize that event. But that later. That happened later. The reason why we had Manti that evening is because I learned about it at the Ministry of Culture. So I'm really indebted to them. So I asked a couple of questions. Did Turkish cuisine, you have kibbi, right? You have kofta. You have kebab. All of these things are something that, as Lebanese, I enjoy. I mean, like, I grew up on kibbi, right? I mean, baked or fried. We used to love it fried. I mean, isn't it fun to have those little things? And so, that's what we used to enjoy as kids, right? And my mom used to pretend like we weren't supposed to eat any, and then we would sneak in the kitchen. She thought it was a lot of fun, and she would see us, but then she would pretend because she wanted us to eat. So good days, good days. So I asked them, did the Ottomans invent these foods, or did they take the best from the different parts of the empire and created their own specific cuisine with the ingredients? Because obviously, even though Turkey has the same things that we make in Lebanon, it doesn't mean it tastes the same. It does not taste the same. The kibbe doesn't taste the same. The kafta doesn't taste the same. It doesn't. Even today, I had something very, simple. My mom makes this yogurt salad with cucumber, and here it is. And it's really quite, like, there's a lot of yogurt. I think that's mint, and my mom makes it that way too. But there's a lot of cucumber, right? My mom puts a lot, whereas the cucumbers are little slivers. You're eating more yogurt, and they're very particular about their yogurt. A lot of people I've spoken to said that yogurt is Turkish. A Greek would say otherwise. Greek yogurt. This is Greece. So And then they all have their reasoning for it. They all have their stories and their myths that they believe, right? That's the central thing, is that nationalism, it doesn't have to be true. It just has to have people believing it, in it, and identifying with it. And so, it's the answer that the question is no, that these foods are Turkish, and the Ottomans made it. And they said that the Azerbaijan has similar foods, but that's because they have that common file. They call it a common file. And I was like, what do you mean by file? And they showed me a file, and I thought to myself, what does that mean? And still, I'm not too clear on it. But I think it would you have a relationship. There's a common root or a common father, an ancestor, something like that. That's what makes Turkey and Azerbaijan. That's what makes them like brother nations or sister nations, so to speak. Right? The whole Turkic thing is quite real. Ataturk. That's another thing. Yesterday, I went to see Ataturk's mausoleum, and it's a very beautiful place. There were all these kids taking pictures. They just graduated, so they're taking pictures. So I do believe that Ataturk is still very important to people here. They draw inspiration, and he is everywhere. He's in shops, he's outside in statues. There's portraits of him. So people still identify with him. He is a national hero. So he's a very important figure. And like, it's not like, when you go to Lebanon or Syria, there's pictures of Assad or whoever the president is in Lebanon. This is actually people still identify. There's a strong sense of patriotism, and I'm sure there's people who don't agree with that, but I still think and I feel it. So yeah, they were adamant that everything belongs to Turkey, and they mentioned other dishes like kaskek, which the Armenians called harissa. And in 2008, they had a little spat in UNESCO when they were going back and forth, and Armenia said that Turkey was trying to Turkify or Turkification of harissa, and that's a very strong word because in the 18th century, there was a process of Turkification where local cultures, the Ottomans tried to make a more uniform, homogenous society, and so that kind of undercut local cultures, and so that still hurts. That word is a very strong word, but Armenia is definitely linking the past to the present, right? And I think that's very important for nationalism, linking the past to the present. So you had the Ottoman Empire, we had Turkish coffee. One thing I realized is that I had Turkish coffee today, but before I haven't had it. And I don't see people drinking it. I see a lot of people drinking tea, but like we call it Turkish coffee in the Middle East, in Macedonia, and all across the world. People call it Turkish coffee. The reason for that is because I think it was World War II. There was a massive shortage of coffee, and so the government said that we're going to start growing our own tea, and so I guess tea was less expensive, and so everybody began drinking tea, and they drink it out of these tulip glass, like a glass. So I drank, when I was here, my first time having breakfast, I drank it out of a mug, and I looked very out of place because I looked around and they all had glasses and these tulip. I'm gonna try to get that for you, and I think that goes to show the level of patriotism and commitment. Is that when the state says we need to do this because people just they there's a strong sense of consent and a collective identity in that is present in Turkey that I didn't feel in Greece. There's a strong sense of positivity, with the children taking pictures, whereas in Greece, one of the people called Venizelos, the prime minister, a piece of S, and so that's very interesting. And the clocks are set at 9:05 in the museum. So I went to one museum, I saw the clock was stopped at 9:05. It wasn't 9:05. It was set at 9:05, and I went to another museum, and I realized, hey, it's 9:05 again, and I said, what's the significance? So I looked it up, and it was the death of Ataturk. So in very much, he is remembered. And so I went to a restaurant. We had Manti. I had a very good discussion with a culinary specialist, professor, and he does a lot of research in culinary, Turkish culinary and Balkan culinary delights, as he said. And so, yeah, we had a great time just chatting. And, I just came back from a restaurant. Almost forgot this. I should put this in my notes. But there was something called Izmir on the menu. And it says, there's no description. It just says a Turkish city on the Aegean. We don't know what it is though. There's no description. So I thought that was interesting. I should have taken a picture of that too. Um, Going back, I went to a university visit today, and my host was quite pleasant, and he helped me understand a lot of things. We talked about chosen traumas and chosen glories. So this is what makes up a nation. So he gave me something to read, and I really enjoyed it, and that's going to be very important in my future when I write. I'm going to draw on a lot of that. And very interesting stuff. I really enjoyed myself. And then today we had dinner. So that's day 3 and 4. My apologies, but I was exhausted and I almost forgot to do it today. But here we are, and I'm glad to do it. And thank you very much. I'm gonna call this a short one because tomorrow I have to go again. I'm on the run, and everything's good. I mean, I can't complain. The food's been good. The people are nice. Um, Nobody speaks so far. A lot of people don't speak English, and so that's been quite difficult. I bought a suit. I noticed the lapels are very wide, and I don't know why. I think that might have to do with Auditor because a lot of his suits had very wide lapels. I'm looking into it right now. I'm consulting an online suit store. So we're gonna see an online suit store that's in Turkey. So yeah, lots to do, lots to learn, but it's been good so far. So tomorrow's day 5 already. So time is flying. I can't believe it. But I think there's a couple of things for Turkish nationalism. The first one is the relationship of people to the state, the nation state. There's a very strong affiliation. It's a very, very diverse country in terms of ethnicities and cultures and languages, but still there's a very strong unit. Maybe that's in Ankara, but I feel like there's a very strong bond of the people to a very a larger than life figure in Ataturk. And then we have the relationship of Turkey to other countries. So that again is a sense of pride of the going back to the Ottoman Empire, where that prestige attached to the Ottoman Empire is very important. So we're still thinking through it, but those are two major points, and we'll keep thinking about it. When I was in the mausoleum, I saw a photo of an atrocity. The Greeks, one of the Greeks' atrocities against the Turkish populations, and it was in the mausoleum of Ataturk, and I didn't feel that it had a right place, but it doesn't matter because museums serve as a reminder to never forget certain things, and I think that was an important one for Turkey to not forget. Maybe to not forget what happens in moments of weakness, and so to be always on the guard and always strong and looking out for each other. So that's about it. I think lots to review, lots to think about, but everything has been good. Tomorrow I have a 12 o'clock appointment, but that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, they also had moussaka on the menu in at the restaurant. I should have taken a picture. Why did I do that? You know what? I think it's because there were a lot of people hovering around me and I didn't feel comfortable. But still, maybe I'll go again. But it was an expensive restaurant. They didn't have the prices on the menu. I should have left. So anytime there's no prices on the menu, you should leave because you don't know what you're getting into. But it was only 33 US dollars. But to me, that's very pricey. It was good though. I had lamb. I had lamb, ribs on rice, and that cucumber salad. And it did remind me of chicken rice and pine nuts that my mom used to make. But my mom, of course, you can't compare cooking at a restaurant with your mom's cooking, especially if your mom is a good, like, she puts love. As a kid, whenever she made eggs, I would tell her put love into it. She would take her, and she would do that. So it's just like something special about, you can't compare. It's like me comparing Skopje with any other place in this trip. It's not fair for the city, so I'm trying not to do that, because Skopje was really beautiful and it's quiet, whereas the city never stops. The noise never stops. And I thought it would be a small city. It's not, because Istanbul is huge, right? So it's like, oh, it's gonna be small. No, it's huge. Uh, but there's some green spaces which I love. I love a green space. So yeah, there's all that stuff, and all the kids are, they seem pretty happy and positive. I saw a kid. He was looking at me, had his nose pressed up against the glass at a bus stop, and I just started to crack up. It was great. All right, that's enough. All right, thank you. That's day 3 and 4. So all the best. I'll see you next time. Hope I don't mess up again. Bye bye.